Good morning, Africa and the world. Today is Sunday, the 28th of August in the year 2022, and it is another time and another moment on our program, Sunday Morning with Emmanuel Mensah. It is your divine right to know the truth, to set yourself free. Today, I'm going to speak to you on the topic, the biblical statement, no one can serve two masters. Its true meaning and relevance to you. I repeat, the biblical statement, no one can serve two masters. Its true meaning and relevance to you. Uh, Today, what the topic we are dealing with, or what we are looking at, is taken from the Bible, and it is very well known to all men, including those who are not Christians. And the book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 24, is what I'm using today. And so I'm going to read this verse, and then I will continue with my exposition or my presentation. According to the book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 24, no one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. And these are the words of Jesus Christ. And it's part of his Sermon on the Mount in chapter 5, after he's gone on to give detailed elaboration about life principles. Then in chapter 6, at this point, he made this statement. And so today, our focus is to try to understand what Jesus was putting across and put it in our lives so that we will get the full meaning and import or impact of whatever he taught us or he put across for mankind, including you and I. And so, if you look at our lives or in the universe or nature that we are all part of, there are some principles that we cannot go against. And I'll begin to give you examples. And then you will also continue with it if you really want to make or understand things and also find out things for yourself. So it is a mathematical truth. It's a practical experience to all men, both those who have lived and passed on or moved on, and those of us that are still alive, that it is impossible for any man to look into a bottle with his two eyes. Whatever person, whatever human being you call yourself to be, you cannot look into a bottle with your two eyes to see anything in the bottle. By law, you are required, or by the law of nature, or by your own being, you are required that you close one eye, and then with one eye opened, you'll be able to look through the narrow mouth of the bottle and see what is inside. And so any man or woman that tries to use his two eyes to look into a bottle is only deceiving himself. The end result is that the person doesn't see anything, so the mission is not accomplished. That is cost 90 over there. And so it is with our positions. It is practical experience from all men and women that you cannot go towards east or west at the same time, or you cannot go towards north and south at the same time. By the laws of the universe or nature and your own laws of being, you are required to make a choice. If there is the need for you to do something in the east and also to do something in the west, at the same time, there is nothing you can do but only to prioritize in such a way that you either go to the east and forgo the west, and then later on you make plans to go to the west. But if you stand at that same point and trying to make efforts to go both east and west, you will find yourself moving nowhere. You will go a little bit east and come back to the point that you are, and then go a little bit west and come back. So these are practical things in our life. No human being has been able to do that, and no one will be able to do that because we are governed by laws. It is the same thing when you have two canoes or boats on the river. You are required to put your two legs in one boat. If you attempt to put one leg here and two legs there, you will fall into the water and perish. So the boat is the focus here. You must be in one. You cannot serve two masters. And so these three examples are just one of few things that we can use to tell ourselves that the human being is governed by laws, and by these laws we are compelled to behave in a certain way. And therefore, whatever we are doing, we must have this principle in mind that we cannot serve two masters at the same time. If you decide to serve the two masters at the same time, that means you are not going to do anything, you are not going to get anything. And so when Jesus Christ made this statement, he wasn't talking about you aligning yourself with a particular Christian body, or you saying that you are a Christian and therefore you are no longer worshiping idols or whatever. Well, those things, that is what religion teaches. But they are the surface meaning of what Jesus Christ put forward. It is about your mental states towards everything in life. Any man that has two minds, any man or woman that cannot focus his mind on one thing and forget all other things and go on and make sure that he do only one thing till the point that he achieves it. But he always want to look at all angles, achieves nothing. Or even if he achieves something at all, it is only a superficial success. The rule or the law is focus your mind and your attention on only one thing and make sure you do it thoroughly and do it to the highest perfection that you can. And then when you are done, you take another one. And when you do that, you are obeying the law of the universe, which compels us that we must always look to serve only one master. And so in our lives, we are always given the choice. The human being's life is governed by choice. And we are given choice to make what we want to serve at any time. And all these things are done in nowhere other than in your mind. And so when Jesus Christ talks about the serving of two masters, he was talking about our mental states. So at any point in time, you cannot think about two things at the same time. Believe it or not, your mind is such that you can only hold a particular thought at one time. So as you are listening to me, you cannot think about me and think about another person at any material time unless you stop, or you stop thinking about me and go on to think about the other person. And so it is, unless you stop thinking about the other person before you can think about me. So your mind has only one, your mind can only contain or accept only one line of thought at a time. And that is why Jesus Christ was putting across that when you attempt to think in two directions, then you are serving two masters. If you try this today and leave it down and you go and try the other one, then you come back and try, then you are trying to serve the two masters. But at a point, you realize that the one that appears to be easy and comfortable to you is the one that you would take. And as human beings, it is always easy for us to think in the negative because we are surrounded by negativity. And therefore, we tend to think in the negatives. And then we leave the positive. The negative is what we don't want. The positive is what we want. And these are the servants that we are serving. So no one can serve two masters. It simply means that no one can think about two things at the same time. You will either surrender to the one that is so common and comfortable to you. And generally, as I've already said, thinking in the negative and believing and trying to convince people that you are a victim of something is more easier and comfortable to humanity than taking the stand that I am the creator of my own realities. Therefore, I do not need anyone's sympathy, but I am standing strong and believing that I have the ability to overcome this or that. And so in your life, you are supposed to think in one direction, regardless whatever you are taking, you are doing. Think in one direction, only one direction. And that is when we say you are doing what? You are serving only one master, and the master is your God in you, or the God within you. You are only to think only in one direction. And one direction is to think only in the positives. As I've already stated, we are always given choice, and our existence at any point is like you are at a crossroads. And therefore, you are either to take the left or right. The left is negative, the right is positive. Whichever way you take, you get a result. And if you stand there to procrastinate that, which way do I go, that means you don't go anywhere. But you must make a choice. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot go in two directions. And so the only thing that happens in a human being's mind is thinking, thoughts. And the only opposite thoughts that normally comes into our minds are positive and negative. So the moment you begin to think in the positives, then you have taken a stand and you are serving a master, which is God, the God nature in you. But if you also begin to think in the negative, then you are attempting to serve two masters. Thinking in the positive and thinking in the negative. It brings no results. It's just like if you are on the number line in mathematics. If you had a 0 and you count positive 5 and then come back to count negative 5, you stand at the same point, 0, there is no work. But you must move. So at the end of the day, you must count in the direction that you must help it, that will help you. And so no one can serve two masters. It's simply about your mental state, about everything. And that is positivity and negativity. You must think only in one direction. You must make a stand on all other things that I know what my thoughts are. I have the understanding of what thoughts, the power of thought. Therefore, regardless of the outer appearances, regardless of what I'm seeing, regardless of what I am experiencing, I am going to discipline myself to think in only one direction, and then that's to think of my dreams. That's to think of how beautiful and wonderful I want my life to be, and dwell upon that. Then you are serving only one master. But if you think about your dreams today, or in 5 minutes, and then you go and ask yourself, will this actually happen? Then you begin to doubt. Then you are actually trying to serve two masters, and that is going against a universal law, which is impossible. It is not a choice, but it is a command that you cannot. So if you attempt to think in the negative, which is not your true nature, then you are attempting to serve two masters. That is the truth. Every human being by nature is of good. Every human being is of God nature. That is, you are made in the image and the likeness of God. So thinking in the negative is something that is not your nature. And therefore, if you attempt to think in the negative, that means you are attempting to serve a false master which doesn't exist. And that is why in Christianity we have termed as devil. Devil, that there is nothing like a devil that exists. It is mankind's own mental state or definition of the absence or in thinking in the negative that we create a devil. But God is the only being. Whatever God is, the devil is not. If God is a being, then the devil cannot be a being because there is only one being. That is the truth. That is the truth. So when you live or when you organize your life and you believe in God, and at the same time believe that there is a devil somewhere, there are evil spirits that are tormenting you, then you are attempting to serve two masters. And this thing is not about whether you go to church or not. It is in your mind. That is where mankind, particularly those of us in the Christian religion, we have missed all things. And then we are creating a life that is very painful and we don't understand. God is the only power. God is the only presence. God is the only cause. And therefore, for you to think of the existence of any power, for you to think of the existence of any entity that is opposing God and tormenting God's children is a contradiction. And therefore, you are trying to serve two masters. But the Bible is telling every one of us, not only people who go to church, everyone, that you cannot serve two masters. You must either love one and leave the other one. And as I've said already, thinking in the negative is so common, easy for mankind to do. Therefore, we go in the negative and we try to justify that we are victims of this or that and that. Then we've created an entity that we call devil. But there is no devil. There is no devil anywhere. The absence of any good thing creates the negative. It is mankind's wrong conception of God that is negating the presence of God in our life and creating the devil. If God is omnipotent, God is omniscience, God is omnipresence, then God can never have an opponent. There can never be any evil spirit anywhere that will torment us. But unfortunately, all men and women believe that there are some powers that are against the powers of God. And so today, you cannot serve two masters. It's not about you just accepting one religion and saying that that is your religion, that's how you're serving God. You are not serving Satan. There is no Satan anywhere to be served unless you create it yourself. But it is about your mental state, about whatever thing in life. If it is your dream, if it is something that you want to achieve, if you think about it in a positive way and then come back to doubt, then you are serving two masters. That is in your mind. But you must discipline yourself that you only dwell on only the good and the positive side, because that is your nature. That is the truth. If you believe in this and at the same time doubt it, you are attempting to serve two masters, because your mind can contain only one thought. And therefore, when you think in the positive, you are required by, or you are necessitated by the nature of your mind or by the laws of your mind to ditch that positive thought and then take on the negative one. And when you do that, there is nothing that comes in your life, because you miss. It's just like the one that is making an attempt to look through the bottle with his two eyes. And that is why in our lives, there is no progress. We make progress today, tomorrow we go back. And when you take on this mental attitude, which of course that is what everyone is doing, it's like a farmer that goes to the farm, sows his seeds, and then in a couple of days he goes back and uproot them. No, that is not what the farmers they do. They sow the seed, believing in the laws of growth, and believing that rain will fall upon the grove. And when there is the need for them to water it, they water it. They don't uproot it, regardless of the weather condition or whatever, until it germinates and grow to become whatever they want it to be. In the same way, whatever thing that you want in life, you must sow the seed in thought and dwell on that in that thought, not thinking in any direction other than what you want to achieve. And dwell on, just like the farmer. It's the same principle until your thoughts becomes a reality in your life. But the moment you begin to doubt, the moment you begin to entertain fear, you begin to entertain worry, then you are attempting to serve two masters. And nothing will happen in your life. And so that is what Jesus Christ was saying. Whatever thing that is said in Matthew chapter 6, verse 24 is the same thing. He just used different examples. You cannot serve both God and money. It's just a way of putting things across for the people at that time to understand. But it's the same thing. You cannot hold two thoughts in your mind at the same time. That is what Jesus Christ was putting across. Jesus Christ is a master metaphysician. He knows the power of thought, and that is what it means. That is the deeper meaning of this biblical statement. And so in your life, you must be aware and live in that knowledge and understanding that thoughts are things. You create your own realities. And therefore, the moment you begin to think both in the negative and the positive way, you create nothing, because it cancels each other out. But you must remain only one. And if you are ignorant, as all of us have been, whilst we've been taught, that you only dwell only on the negative, then you create a negative life negative experiences in your life, because your mind is a creative medium. So no one can serve two masters. As it's more about your own life, but not about you going saying that you are a Christian, therefore you are no more worshiping idols or whatever. That is just one aspect of whatever Jesus Christ put across. That is religion. But I'm talking about who you are, your true self. You are a spiritual being and you operate in the spiritual world. And that is your mental world or your mental state. And therefore, when your mind keeps switching from one end to the other, then you have taken that fruit that Adam and Eve ate, and that is thinking in two opposite ways, and you get no results. You get no results. But you must choose. You must take a stand and only go in one direction. Just as we cannot go in two directions at the same time to achieve our goal. In the same way, we cannot think in two directions. So a human being is a powerful being. Your mind is a powerful tool that you've been given to use. And anytime you think in two opposite directions at the same time, that means today you say you have faith in this, tomorrow, or maybe you go to church, and then because the pastor or whatever they are talking about, you say, oh, I believe. And then you pray. Then when you come home, before you go to bed, you sit down and emotionalize and even visualize the possible things that are going to happen. Nothing will happen in your life. You have this mentality because you are serving two masters. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. There is consequences to that. That means you negate whatever you are doing, and there will be no results. But at the same time, by your nature, you must serve one. And so you see that the one that you do more than the other is the one that will take over. And mostly we think only in the negative, because every human being wants to be sympathized. He wants people to see that he is not the cause of whatever situation that he's going through, but he is only a victim of that circumstances or situation. And so let us be wise. Let us be wise. Any man or woman, my fellow Africans in particular, listening to me, we've been doing a certain thing in our lives that we are not achieving anything. We are not achieving anything because we do not understand this statement. We don't understand these principles. It is not about us packing ourselves in churches and whatever. Today is Sunday, and I believe I can just cast my mind and see the whole Africa. Everywhere, majority of men and women are in the church. But the fact is that let us analyze our lives and see whether what the Bible is saying, we are experiencing the promises of the Bible in our lives. The book of Jeremiah says that I know the thoughts I have for you, thoughts of prosperity, thoughts to prosper you, to make you great, such that all things will be well. Thoughts not anything to harm you. I am not quoting, but I'm just paraphrasing it. You see, so if this biblical statement is really, really true, then we must begin to ask ourselves, the prosperity and the greatness, the success that we've been promised in the Bible, are we seeing it? No, it's because we are always attempting to serve two masters. Two masters. This principle is not only about Christians. Any man or woman that wants success, and you take this principle and practice it to the details, you will get a result. Your mind is the same. The mind of a Muslim is the same as the mind of a Christian. The mind of the Hindus or whatever is the same mind as a Jewish man. The fact is that everything that we are doing on the outer is our own creation, and as a result of our ignorance about who we are, the color, the religions that we have put upon ourselves has no relevance in who we are. You are a human being given the mind to use. So use your mind constructively, and that is your services to God. That is your worship to God. And as I've already stated, every human being is by nature of good, because you are the image and the likeness of God. Every negative thing that we see in our lives that we have taken it upon ourselves because it's our choice. And this is the time that we begin to walk, we begin to organize ourselves, our lives in light of the truth, in light of the universal laws and principles that compels us that we must only look in one direction. We must always look in one direction. And as we go in one direction, we will achieve the results. So you cannot serve two masters. You cannot serve two masters at the same time. No, you cannot. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot think positivity. You cannot think positively and then think negatively at the same time. They cancel each other out. Regardless of how painful it is, regardless of how difficult it is, dwell on positivity. You cannot think about you succeeding. You cannot believe in success and at the same time believe in failure. You must cut your mind off, failure out of your mind and say that you are destined to succeed. You are destined to, achieve whatever you are doing or you want to achieve, and dwell only in success. Your mind is a creative medium, and whatever thing that you concentrate your mind on, expands. It expands. As I use in one of my episodes, the magnifying glass. If you take the magnifying glass and you use it on your hand, by the work of the glass, the sun rays is brought direct to your hand up to a point that it can burn you for you to have a sore. That is how it's supposed to be. We must put all our efforts, everything in one direction and move in one direction, believing and trusting that we are the images and the likenesses of God. And therefore, with us, just as with God, anything is possible. In the same way, with us, anything is possible. Whatever thing you want to achieve, believe it. And if you don't doubt, it becomes yours. And that is the same thing that that is the same principle Jesus Christ stated in the Bible, that whatever thing that you pray for and you do not doubt, it becomes yours. If only you do not doubt, but you believe that it is already yours, then it becomes yours. That is the truth. And so we are supposed to live by belief. You don't have to see things to believe. You don't have to feel, you don't have to touch things to believe, but you must believe to see them. And that is staying in a certain mental state, and that is establishing the mental premises that this is the stand I have taken, and that is the only way I am going. Anything that comes, I will make sure it doesn't enter my consciousness. And therefore, you don't look at after things. You don't look at what is happening on the after, but you only look at the dream. You only look at what you want to achieve at the end. And that way, you are serving only one master. You will know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And so, any man or woman listening to me, whoever you call yourself, particularly my fellow Africans, what is your mental state? What are you confessing all the time? You are doing a particular thing. You want to achieve something, but at the same time you are confessing that this thing is too difficult. It's so difficult. It's so difficult. But at the same time, you are doing it. In that case, you are someone who is attempting to serve two masters. Anything that is difficult must not be confessed, but you confess that I have the power and ability to overcome this. You do it in joy and happiness. That is the truth. You can never achieve anything that you confess that is difficult. At the end of the day, your mind or your mental state will make sure that you don't achieve it. And that is why Jesus Christ is putting across that you cannot serve two masters. So you cannot serve two masters. The masters are in your mind, and they are everywhere in anything that you would do in life. The only way to go is that you are a child of God. You are made in the image and the likeness of God. Not about your religion, not about whatever you call yourself, but by the fact that you are a human being with the breath of God running through you. There is only one life that we are all breathing into. And therefore, what is possible with one man, it is also possible with you. What is possible with one woman, it is also possible with you. And then go in that direction in faith and determination, not wavering, doubting. Believing and trusting, go in one direction. That is how you can achieve anything that you want to achieve in life. That is the truth. And as I stated already, you will know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And these are the words of Jesus Christ. So, to serve two masters is not anything other than you taking control of your mind. Your mind receive or generate millions, thousands of thoughts. And it is your responsibility to be selective. to control your mind such that you define things in the highest or in the highest perspective. You only look at it from the highest perspective. You look at it from only the positive side. Even when it is burning, you say, no, it is not. It is not you are denying situation, but you are affirming into your life what you want it to be. When it is that bad, you say, no, you don't declare, you say it is good. Because you are declaring what you want to see in your life. And it is by so doing that you overturn whatever situation that you are seeing at momentarily or at that time. And so when you fall to what you are seeing and begin to speak to it or affirming to it, then you are serving that master. Then it has power over you. So the masters are everywhere in our lives. The masters are everywhere. Wherever you are, wherever you go, whatever you are doing, in every nook and corner of your life, there are the masters, and all happens in your mind. Begin to weed out the masters. Begin to discipline yourself and begin to think in one direction, such that you will only see only what you want to achieve. You will only experience what you want to achieve. That is what we call focused thinking, or having one mind. One mind. A double-minded person will never receive anything from God. That is what the Bible is saying. If you're a double-minded person, you will never receive anything from God. If you're a double-minded person, you are serving two masters. This has nothing to do with evil forces or whatever thing that we've been talking about in churches that, if you go to church and you go to this and those things, you don't have to actually go and do this and that and that. Once you identify yourself with that. But it goes beyond that. If you only go to church and you don't go to worship idols, but your mindset is in two directions. You think today about this and then you negate it tomorrow. You think about this, you negate it tomorrow. You pray about this and then entertaining fear, entertaining worry. Then you get anxiety and all this things. Then you are serving two masters. If you serve the master of negativity, what do you get? Depression. And all these things, these diseases and sicknesses that comes with them. But if you think in positivity, if you serve God who is in you, that is giving the God in you with the right mental attitude, with the right thoughts, with the right mood and emotions, then you create a positive and a prosperous life in your experience, or you experience in your life. And so today, as you listen to me, please be determined to change direction. Be determined to begin to work on yourself. There is nothing that any man or woman is supposed to preoccupy himself with other than our minds. How do you use your mind? In which directions are you using your mind? Are you the one that you take decision today, tomorrow you change it? Are you the one that you take decision that you are doing it, then someone comes to say something, you leave it because the person is saying it, then you go and do it? You are a double-minded person. You don't have a direction. You are trying to, serve two masters. But you must determine in your life, you must determine in your mind that I am the king, I am the queen in my own mental state, and I am going to control my life based on what I believe, on what I perceive to be true, and to be right for myself, and go in that direction. That is the only way that you can achieve. If you are someone who always seek advice from people, everything that you do in life, you want someone to approve of it for you, then you are someone who has no mind for him or herself. You have sold out your mind. And that is what we have to begin to work on ourselves. Particularly those of us in Africa and my fellow Africans, this is the time that we cannot serve two masters. We cannot believe in positivity and believe in negativity. We cannot believe in development and also think of, preserving our old traditions and other things. As we all know, none of the modern world development, none of the modern world things that we believe that the development that we are dying for came from Africa. And therefore, this is the time that we have to discipline our mind to begin to think in only one direction. As I stated in one of my episodes, democracy can never be built upon local traditions and whatever. This is the time that we have to stand up and begin to review, review all that we're doing, such that we have only one focus, that this is what we want to achieve, and therefore all other things that didn't serve us well, all other things that are not serving us well, must go. That is what we have to be. We should be able to take a stand. We should be able to take a stand. There is no way that you will look at things from two angles and get the right view. No, you must take only one stand and look at the thing. If you want to have the other view, you go to the other side, and then you'll be able to look at it well. It is a law. This is a universal law that it controls every man or woman. You must discipline yourself in your own life, in all the things that you do, in such a way that you will only take the positive and constructive side and then ignore the negatives. There is no way that we can control our worldly situations. As the saying goes, you cannot prevent birds from flying over your head, but you can prevent them from perching on your head. Perching on your head. In the same way, life challenges and difficulties are abound everywhere. We cannot remove all of them in our lives in such a way that everything that we are here, everything in our lives will be so rosary. No, if we do that, then it means we have gotten to a point of completion. That means we are no more evolving. We are supposed to work through the difficulties and challenges, all the provocations, but use them to build ourselves. As we think in only one direction, we cut through them, and as we go, we eventually go to our destination. That is how life is supposed to be. So you can never have a perfect situation for you to be able to achieve. You must look at the underdeveloped aspect. You must look at the things that you say that are painful. They are the underdeveloped aspect of your life, and begin to work on them. And as you improve upon them, you move yourself forward. But all this can be done only by thinking in one direction, only by serving one master, but by using our minds in a constructive and positive way. That is the truth. That is the truth. So my brother, my sister, whoever is listening to me, I am appealing to you that the time has come, the hour has come, that we must begin to think and discipline ourselves and put our mental states in its right form. The confession of negativity, the confession of all these evil things, particularly the greatest thing that is, pulling Africans down is the belief in the devil, the belief in evil forces. We are people who claim that we serve God. Now Africans, Christians in particular, we claim that we are the true Christians. Even those who brought Christianity to us, we believe that they are no more Christians. They are not practicing the Christianity as we are practicing. But every day, you will see that what we are doing is just negating the presence of God in our life. There is nowhere in Africa, there is no church. Today is Sunday. There is no church in Africa that they will not talk about evil forces. They will not talk about Mami Wata. They will not talk about this kind of things. Witches and wizards. There is no church that they will not do that. But when you do that, you are negating the presence of God, because God cannot have a competitor. God cannot have someone opposing him. That means he is no longer omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscience. And therefore, my brother, my sister, this is the time that you have to begin to question yourself. Question things. The things that have been handed down to us, you don't accept them without a question. Don't accept them without using your mind. Now is the time for us to use our mind at the highest level and begin to analyze and review things in light of the universal truth. But today, if you haven't gotten anything from me, I want to put this in your mind. And that is, your mind cannot contain two thoughts at the same time. If you want to try it, you cannot think about this and that at the same time. Either you leave this one down and think on the other one. And that is what the Bible is saying, that you cannot serve two masters. You cannot think about two things at the same time. You must love one and leave the other one. And so the one that is easy for you is the one that you do. But if you try to think about the two things at the same time, that means you are not moving. There is nothing that will happen in your life. There is nothing that will happen. There will not be thinking. They will not be thinking. And so there is the truth that has been presented to you. Use this biblical statement that you cannot serve two masters. That is about your dreams, about your life, about your family, everything. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot love someone and hate the person at the same time. You cannot sing and love. You cannot sing and be quiet at the same time. You cannot eat and be hungry at the same time. So long as you take one must prevail. And the absence of one creates the other. The absence of one creates the other. When we negate the presence of God, then we create the devil. But when you bring the presence of God, there is no devil in our life. And though the two masters we are serving, there are too many. But it is your responsibility to analyze your own life and begin to identify the masters and begin to weed them out of your life. It's all about you controlling your mind. Discipline yourself, self-discipline. Discipline yourself and put your mental state in its correct form. Africa is developed. We are not doing anything. We are not going forward because we lack the knowledge and understanding of mental management. We lack the knowledge and understanding of the power of thought. We lack the knowledge and understanding of the truth that the mind of the human being creates our own realities. That is it. But thank God, we are now being exposed to this truth. Take this truth and use it in your life. You can look back in your family line. Everyone has done the same thing, and they've handed over to you. No. If you are a determined person, I'm praying that you are a determined person. That is why you are listening to me. Now is the time for you to take a stand that I am going to go the other way. And that is looking at things from only the positive and constructive way. And therefore, I am not going to accept anything negative, anything impure in my system, in my mind. But I'm going to dwell on only in my dreams, even if they are not working at the moment. If it appears that I'm achieving anything, I will continue to do it with a mind, with a belief that it's a process, and I will definitely get to the end. And that is how you become an overcomer, and an achiever. And so you cannot serve two masters. It's a practical statement in every man's life. It's a practical thing in our life. And this is the time that we have to make this biblical statement and other things practical. As I stated at the beginning, the Sermon on the Mount has deeper meaning. Everything that Jesus Christ has given is not about how we've been taught. It's not about how we've been taught that we are practicing them. No, they are the surface meaning. We don't get anything from it. It is all about your mental state. It is all about your mental state. And so, my brother, my sister, my fellow Africans, let us rise up. Africa must develop. Africans must rise. But Africa will only rise when we use our minds in its right way. We think in only one direction. We think in only one direction. You have only one focus. And then we move in that direction. And we will definitely achieve what we want to achieve. Let us desist from being the farmer that sows his crops today, and then in a couple of days he goes back to uproot it. When you do that, you will never get a harvest. Let us cease from being the men and women that are aiming to look through the bottle with their two eyes. If we do that, we achieve nothing. But this is the time we have to use our mind only in one direction, looking at things from the right perspective, from the highest perspective, to achieve enduring and everlasting success. God is here. God is everywhere. God is the only power. God is the only presence. God is the only cause of all things. And when we bring the presence of God in our life and we dwell upon this mindset, that is that we do not think about devils, we don't think about evil forces, we'll be people that are free, people that have freedom and living and thinking as independent and free people, living as the true images and the likenesses of God. That is my message for you. Now, may the overshadowing presence of God that keep the stars in the plan in the open, such that they do not clash with they do not fall on us, and that keeps the planets in their orbits, such that they do not fall on us. Lead you and guide you as you go into the coming week, such that you be a man or woman that has only one focus, that has only one mind, and think only in one direction, that is serving only one master, and that is God, the God in you, and supplying and providing only the thoughts that are constructive, thoughts that are positive, thoughts that are empowering, and emotions to create a reality that is a life that is befitting and enjoyable to all men and women, including those in your families. Now, my name is Emmanuel Kwejo Mensah. I am a co-founder of the Eagle Mentality Group. And at Eagle Mentality Group, we teach and share information about the power of the subconscious mind and universal laws and principles that all men and women, in other words, knew that they've used to create and shape their own lives and their countries and continents. Our determination is to raise a new group of Africans who think and do things in alignment with the laws of the universe and their own being, such that we will create an Africa, a new Africa, an Africa that is technologically developed, an Africa that is enlightened, an Africa that men and women have the ability to control their mind, to take only one thing and stay on until they achieve the final result, such that our achievements and whatever we will do using our minds will flood everywhere on the African continent to be an attraction to men and women from all walks of life to the continent of Africa. As it is now, Africa is the continent that only black people inhabit. And this is the time that we have to bring all other people from other places for us to create a diverse but a unified and a free and a loving continent that the whole world comes to live and enjoy the goodness of God and the works of the African minds. That is my message for you. Thank you, and God bless you.